I think it might be somewhat controversial, but I do believe when it comes to retail media, approaching it as merely an incremental media channel would result in missing a trick here. So the thing is, because those retailers that they have those kind of like media networks are also the retailers that the brands have and had commercial relationship with. So I think when agencies start working with the brands on developing on like how they should approach retail media, I do think that apart from the everyday stakeholders that they speak to and they manage that kind of like aspect of things, if you'd like, it's quite important to bring people into the conversation from other disciplines like the commercial department or sales department, as well as finance. I think as well, when it comes to kind of like retail media, it's like almost like how probably 10 years ago, we had social networks appearing in the paid media landscape. So I do think agencies have kind of like a responsibility to make sure that the staff is being exposed and trained adequately on that front, because it is a super kind of like exciting time. But agencies are in a very good place to actually influence the development of those networks and how they evolve. As well, like I think when it comes to the support that agencies can offer, I think it's obviously they specialize in paid media and how they plan kind of like the whole funnel. So I think it's quite important to kind of like have that expertise, because retail media is actually can be used across the whole funnel from awareness all the way to conversion. And I do think based on the challenges that they're currently out there in terms of like, marketing budgets being reduced, inflation, and the list goes on, retail media is there to kind of probably take budget from other existing media channels rather than being added incrementally. So I think it's quite important for agencies to offer that expertise to the brands that they work with. And lastly, I think from a tactical, if you'd like, point of view, when it comes to campaign setup, taxonomy, they're also very important because that can help address any disparity of data and ensure that when it comes to reporting and the insights that are offered back to the brand teams, they are as useful and actionable as possible. I think retailers at the moment, and not only retailers, brands, agencies, but in this kind of like for this question that's kind of focused on the retailers, that they still face quite big issues, right? As businesses, they've been dealing with the aftermath of the pandemic. They probably have to shift. They had to shift kind of like a lot of the focus on e-com rather than like stores and high street, etc. There's inflation and the cost of living crisis. There is great resignation happening. So just to name a few. So I do think that it's vital to have an open dialogue between the agencies and the retailers. The agencies have like a wealth of experience when it comes to managing and activating campaigns on various digital and not only digital platforms like search, social, programmatic, which versions of that the retail media networks are developing for themselves. So I think it's quite important for the retailers to kind of like listen to the agencies and kind of like the asks around, when it comes to standardization where possible, the need for like training and education as well. Because the thing is also the retail media landscape is quite fragmented, and that has various implications. For example, like, it has a knock-on effect on resource. So it's quite important to have that analysis and like that benefit effort kind of like front to help with where the focus should be. And that's where, for example, aggregators like Criteo have been quite good at supporting that, because we use one platform to manage loads of different retailers. Last but not least, I think the agencies in this relationship with the retailers can also be the voice of the brands. Yes, the brands have their own direct relationships with retailers, but that's usually more commercial focused. But still, the brands also benefit from that consistency when it comes to the UI, when it comes to the reporting. all the way to the elements of like what's the attribution window, and that will also help facilitate the investment going through the retail media networks via the agencies. I think for retail media, what is quite unique is that the inventory offered is literally the point of sale, which no other medium probably can do, or they're trying to develop formats that they can actually do that when it comes to social or other channels. So of course you have, your standard kind of like sponsored products or product listing ads, like more keyword and search-based formats, but then you also have the programmatic banners and display ads, which admittedly I think there is quite room of improvement on that front. But where we see, and what's the super exciting bit, is that there's the additional growth is coming from the likes of video, streaming video, maybe even audio, and then also connected TV. So I think recently, I think it was actually couple of days ago, that Tesco, Dan Hamby and JCDecaux announced the creation of the UK's biggest retail-based digital display advertising network, which is kind of going to be like a significant expansion to Tesco's digital screen estate. And if you think about Tesco, biggest kind of like grocer, and the amount and wealth of data that they have, it's superb and very exciting. And I think it was like last month that Citrus Ads announced about the being powered by Epsilon, and offering in a self-serve platform a unified on-site and off-site kind of like opportunity for you to manage campaigns that are like from all the way from email to your sponsors ads, video, etc. And then to not forget even the likes of like Amazon, which is obviously who's like the biggest player in this retail media landscape. They're really pushing for those more video-led formats, or even audio with voice activating kind of actions, and even the likes of like Fire TV and IMDb TV, and even linking Twitch, which is like a gaming platform, back to Amazon audiences and retargeting via the Amazon platform, which is it's just fantastic. Retailers with rich kind of like consumer databases and deep relationships can help marketers deliver personalized advertising that can result in creating a targeted and seamless experience for the consumers, and at the same time, obviously, a high return for the advertisers. I think that the closed loop capabilities that the retail media can offer are a fantastic opportunity for the brands. However, when it comes to your current, your target and lapsed customers, I think there's a key element that needs to be considered here, which is the value exchange. So basically, it's not only thinking about, as a brand, like how much is worth paying for that new to brand customer. It's like, yeah, what do I need to offer to then make that person and that consumer a repetitive customer of my brand? And what is the best tactic for that? Like, where should I be investing when it comes to that whole retail media landscape that is like just evolving, continue to evolve every day? Because there's an argument to be made there that that consumer that needs to buy, I don't know, cheese or shampoo or milk will still be doing it regardless of us advertising as a brand or as an agency for the brand. So there's an argument to be made there that like, oh, am I paying double for that customer that I would have got anyway? So that's, I think, where it's very important to have clear strategies when it comes to the different types of customers, whether, as we said, is current, target, lapsed. What is the objective that we have there? If we want to increase market share, want to maintain market share, and what's the objective of us running activity on that specific retail media network. So despite being pushed back, like we know that like the dawn of the cookieless era is just around the corner. So owners of 1P data have a great advantage, and retailers do belong in this category. You have the likes of customer loyalty schemes and then shopper discounts, which do offer an invaluable pool of not only data, pure like data, but also insights that can be extremely beneficial to all the parties involved, and that's the retailers, the brands, but also the consumers. So more so when you're able to share that data in clean rooms where you can match, the retailer's data with the brand's data in an anonymized data, of course, in a privacy compliant way, that can help with the wider exercise of the sales attribution. And it's also worth noting that when it comes to retail media, it's a full funnel medium. So when we talk about attributing sales, a part of the element of like the privacy kind of first era, it's also important to make sure that we account for all the different interactions that consumer has had or hasn't had, to account for all of those when we're doing the exercise of attributing sales.